And I hope you're doing really, really well this evening. Jadon Sancho to Manchester United moves closer, but from a credible source. It's from a credible source here. Well, it's from a credible source, a reputable source, a source that many of you worship. And his name is Fabrizio Romano, and I'm sure you know who he is. Works alongside or for Di. I don't know how that works now because Romano seems to have almost become the new Di. Look, very, very, very respected, especially amongst football Twitter and Twitter users alike, has been very accurate with signings, Romano. I remember the summer before last, very good around Liverpool signings, very good last summer as well. And he's been basically doing, I think he was doing a Q&A on Instagram today and has given some info on Jadon Sancho, which, to be honest with you, if you've been watching the United Stand and listening to other people as well, it's not telling you anything you don't know, but it's giving you a little bit more excitement because it's coming from somebody that a lot of people do listen to. So Fabrizio Romano has come out and said that Manchester United have been working on a deal for Jadon Sancho for the last couple of months, and presumably this is with representatives of Jadon Sancho, that they're very confident of getting the deal done. But a fee has not been agreed with Borussia Dortmund yet, and the problems with this pandemic is that it makes it very hard to have those discussions with Dortmund. And so, look, I'd say I'd almost call it a flip, a coin, a good side and a bad side to this coin, because again, it's sort of if we talk about what we were talking about this morning about Timo Werner and another German club, obviously RB Leipzig, basically saying that look, if Werner goes, anything's possible, but you don't know what the resources are for this club, for clubs who are trying to buy him. You don't know what the situation's going to be. And, could it be a scenario like Griezmann, which we were talking about the other night, about how close we were to signing Griezmann? Atletico Madrid got the transfer ban and Griezmann decided at the last minute to stay. Well, Jadon Sancho could be like a Griezmann who was coming to Manchester United, wants to come to Manchester United, but when we come out of this crisis, he might realise that, I can't go and I'm going to stay where I am in Dortmund. So, look, it doesn't... My understanding of the Sancho thing has always been the same, and this is from talking to people and just viewing the situation. It's very clear that Jadon Sancho will leave Dortmund and wants to leave Dortmund because he went to Dortmund to prove his talent. He proved his talent. I think he wants to come to the Premier League, and I think maybe he wants to go and play for a Barcelona or a Real Madrid as well. Who knows? But I think he definitely wants to go to the next level and probably wants to come to the Premier League. That, to me, is not in doubt. I think that he's an ambitious player and he will want to play for a club that is in the Champions League. And at the moment, that could be United. It could be Chelsea as well. That's how I feel about Sancho. And I think, to be honest with you, if he has a choice between United and Chelsea, I know he apparently supported Chelsea as a kid, but I think he'd come to Manchester United. So we need Champions League football and we need the money to do the deal. And so for Fabrizio Romano to say that United have been talking about a deal with Sancho's people for 2 months, that doesn't surprise me. This has been said many a time before. To quote that Griezmann deal that fell through a few years ago, United have been working on that deal for 8 months before it fell through. So United aren't just sat there with their hands on the arse, sat on their hands on their arse. The hands are on the arse, but you know what I mean. They're not sat on their hands, not doing anything. The reality is that they will have been working on this deal and other deals. What this situation that we're living in at the moment does to that, we're living in a bubble. Does it pop the bubble? Does it pop the deal, or do we just, or does it carry on? So yeah, look, you can take it to the bank that United want Sancho, and you can probably take it to the bank that Sancho wants United in the right circumstances. But what you can't take to the bank is the deal is done, because it's not going to be done, because I don't see how you do a deal at this moment in time. And I don't see how I actually think if there is a transfer window in the summer, it's going to be the hardest deal to do we've ever done. And if you think we're bad taking 3 weeks to do a Bruno deal or a month to do Harry Maguire or Wan-Bissaka because we're arguing about a fee, imagine how long we're going to take to do a deal when we're actually right to argue a fee. I mean, I don't like how United didn't just pay 60 million for Bruno because that's what he was worth. I didn't like that we took a month to pay 50 million pounds for Wan-Bissaka when that was what he was worth. But in this situation, if Dortmund do say they want 120 million, which is being quoted, and United just went and paid it, we'll probably be bankrupt by Christmas, because is 120 million pounds going to be worth 120 million pounds in a transfer market in the future? So, yeah, this is not anywhere near a done deal. I think what it is a race that United are winning, which we pretty much know. It is a want from Sancho, or a desire from Sancho to want to come to United. It is a strong desire from United to want to bring Sancho to United. But it's also a massive barrier in this world that we live in at the moment as to how you do it. You've got the player that probably wants to move. You've got the club that probably wants to move. Normally, in a normal transfer, and I'm sure you all know this, in a normal transfer, if you've got the player and he wants to come and the club wants him, you go to the club and you sort a fee out. It's probably the easiest thing. In this situation, you've got the club and the player who want the move, but how do you get the deal done if you know the world has changed and you cannot charge £120 million? You're looking for something that's very, very difficult in that situation. Sancho, Ndidi and Grealish, says Wayne, Martin, Chug and Young. Well, look, I had a lot of people watching my Manchester United FIFA career mode earlier, and I did buy Ndidi, and Sancho has been bought as well. He'll be in the episode tomorrow. So, I'd love Ndidi to come to Manchester United. I really would, but I don't think United are linked to him. We are going to be doing a call-in tonight, by the way. I'll be telling you how in a minute, but if you are a Discord user, get yourself into there, because we will be taking your calls tonight. That's the whole purpose of the show tonight. I was going to do the watch-along for the Man City game, but then I just thought, you know what? They're doing so many of those. We don't need to do them all the time. The Boot King says, Mark, this isn't like the United Stand, it's the Mark Goldbridge show. Where have you been for the last 5 years, mate? This has always been the same format for the show. So, get with the programme. And would you sign Edouard? Edouard, says John B. from Celtic. I don't think we will. I really don't think we will. I think United will probably sign a Garlo, and we won't sign a striker. What do you think about Martial being bold? Says Mr. I couldn't believe it when I saw his hair. I thought, is that photoshopped? But it might not be a bad idea in the current climate where hairdressers are shut. So who knows? Maybe he's ahead of the game there. And have you seen the top 10 things about Sancho? Says AJ. No. And will Chris Smalling return? Says Liam Miller. Look, if you'd have said to me a month ago, will Chris Smalling return? No. He's done so well on loan, somebody will buy him and we can't offer him first team football. But in the new world of does anybody want to even spend any money, Chris Smalling could come back. Sanchez is definitely coming back. If we got Bruno in the summer, we would have had Haaland, says Jenks1102. Well, watch the video from this morning about Haaland. Massive eye-opener to the situation at United and the fact that we basically got snubbed because they didn't trust the project. If you could get any one player, who would it be? Says Andreas Storvik. Any one player. I'd probably bring Ronaldo back just for the romance, to be honest with you. Anyway, let me talk about a few other things. Haaland has actually been mentioned by Italian reports today that Manchester United and Real Madrid will move for Erling Haaland in the summer. I don't think this will happen, but if there is a release clause for Erling Haaland and it's rumoured to be about £50 million, then why would you not do that? But surely he's not going to be at Dortmund for 4 months or 5 months and then he's going to get sold in the summer. I'm sure that release clause probably doesn't kick in, well, if it exists. But, Solskjaer does have that relationship with Erling Haaland, and I don't know. I just think that it's a very interesting point here because Dortmund will not be able to keep on hold of Erling Haaland forever. They won't. And I know he's only been there like 2 months, but they won't be able to keep a player like that. He's going to be one of the world's best strikers. He's also going to have one of the world's worst agents next to him, which means he's going to have more moves than a drunk disco person, isn't he? But I think that he will move around a lot. And I think that I should have said a drunk man in a disco, really. That would have worked better. But I stumbled. Sometimes I do. Catch me when I fall. But Haaland will move. And I think what's very interesting about football at the moment is that Barcelona and Real Madrid, they're not the big teams that they used to be. They're still big teams, but they're not, would I go to Real Madrid at the moment? It's a project. They're not definitely going to win the Champions League. And the same with Barcelona. So, if United can just get competitive again in relation to titles and Champions Leagues, then, anything's possible. How's your evening been, Mark? Says Oscar Davis. Good, thank you. Hope yours has been well. You just got to fill your time up, and in fact, watch Going for Goalbridge at 9 o'clock. I do talk about that tonight. So yes, give that a watch. Also, maybe somebody might want to talk to us about Henderson, Dean Henderson, not Jordan. He's not Player of the Year. No way. Dean Henderson. I've seen a lot of United fans saying that Henderson should be brought back to Manchester United and given a chance in goal next season. Dallin Govander says, what's your favourite Man United player? It's Martial or Bruno for me. So would you bring Henderson back to Manchester United and give him a chance? Now, it's interesting because I spoke about this maybe last night, and maybe you want to talk about it a bit later on the call-in. But as I said to you before, why would you give Henderson a chance when you're paying David De Gea 350 grand a week? No one's going to buy David De Gea. It's not going to happen. You know, we've spoken about this transfer market. Nobody's going to buy a player on 350 grand a week and pay us 80 million as well. It's just not going to happen. So David De Gea will be at Manchester United next season 110%. So you're going to bring Henderson back to play first team goalkeeper and bench somebody on 350 grand a week. It's not going to happen. And I think it's fanciful. And I'm not saying people are wrong. I'm not saying people are wrong because it's their opinion. But it's fanciful to say that Henderson should come back and be given a chance in goal. You're going to bench a 350 grand a week goalkeeper. Yeah, right away. It's just not going to happen. From a business point of view, they just won't do it because his value will depreciate, he'll get very fed up, and it will cause unrest. So it won't happen. And I would go De Gea anyway. I personally think that Henderson may have to... would you loan him again? I mean, it's not... I think Dean Henderson may need to be sold with a buyback clause. Because I don't see De Gea's going anywhere for 3 years, and I don't think we can just keep loaning Dean Henderson out for 3 years. So, yeah, and Romero is very good too, Liam Miller. I mean, yeah, I think with goalkeepers it's a shame because a goalkeeper needs to play for consistency, and it's one position. If Henderson and De Gea are goalkeepers, you bring Henderson. Sorry, they are goalkeepers. If Henderson's a striker, you bring him back next year. You let them fight it out, but. Because you can play two, you can play one, put one on the bench, whatever, you can bring them on. Goalkeepers, you know, they tend to start a game and finish a game. You don't sub a goalkeeper either. So it makes it quite difficult, and I think a grown-up decision needs to be made around him. Just Gareth Bale as well. This is, I detest having to do videos about Bale anymore because I know it won't happen. But Spain reports saying that Gareth Bale will not be coming back to the Premier League or Manchester United because nobody will be able to afford the fee for him, which is absolutely correct. His wages are ridiculous, and I think he's 31 this summer, isn't he? So it's just not going to happen. Do you think we will buy a CDM? All I see is United linked with attacking midfielders and wingers, but I feel we need a strong base at the midfield. Thanks for all the content. Look, Charles Crane, I know it's only... I've sounded a bit strict with you. I know it's only FIFA, but on my FIFA career mode, and I know a lot of you have been watching it, and if you haven't, you can check it out on Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. I bought the first signing I did in January because I'm only in January at the moment in my first season, and it does it like that. I bought Ndidi. I had been playing Matic, McTominay, and I played one holding midfielder, but I had been playing McTominay. I mainly played Fred when he needed a rest or something. I'd play Matic or McTominay. My first signing was Ndidi, and I've gone and won 4 games in a row, which is irrelevant in many ways, but the team is better. And there's nothing wrong with Fred, McTominay and Matic, but buying Ndidi, the team is better because it's a specialist top-of-the-game CDM, which we don't have. I think the club are not buying a CDM because they feel they don't need a CDM because Matic has played well, McTominay's played well, Fred's played well, and they have. But are they specialist top-of-their-game CDMs? Matic is not top of his game anymore because he's on the decline, even though he's doing well. There's no future with Matic. McTominay, I don't know whether he is a CDM. And Fred, I don't think he's a CDM. I think he's a midfield too. But he's not a CDM on his own. So I think we do need a CDM. I just don't think we're going to sign one. Will you play me on FIFA? Keep up the good work, says Ben McMilo. I'm not at the point where I'm going to start get people on FIFA, to be honest, because it's just very difficult for me to find the time to do it, Ben, to be honest. But if I do, I will do it. Because Martial is injury prone, you don't rely on inconsistent injury prone centre forward for all season. It may be changed if he gets consistent next 2 seasons, says Vandy Candy. Right, we're going to start taking some of your calls on the Discord. I'm very excited about this tonight. If you've never done it, let me just show you something. I'm not going to show you that, don't worry. I will show you this. The link is in the video description. It is an invite. You can only get onto the United Stand Discord through the invite, and it's only valid for 24 hours, but once you're in, you're in. Once you're in, right, it's this stuff that I'm moving down the left-hand side. Don't worry about that. That's all the groups I'm in. You won't see that. But this stuff down here, you will. So if you want to just go in the general chat, you go into the United Lounge there, general chat, and it's just people tapping away, loads of people tapping away, chatting all the time. 24/7, you can do that. There's transfer chat as well. So that's in your United Lounge. If you want to do the voice chat, as you can see, you've got the call-in queues. There's call-in queue 1. You can see all these users that are in there. There's call-in queue there. There's call-in queue there. Loads of people in the call-in queues. Now, there's lots of people in the call-in queues at the moment because they're waiting to get on the show. But them call-in queues are open 24/7, which means every day, every night. So people start little group chats that they'll say, I'll see you in the Discord at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they'll have a chat. So 24/7, you can get yourself onto that and get involved. But we'll start taking some of your calls because I enjoy doing this, and at this time, it's very exciting. Also, what's very exciting, and I should have shouted this out before, 1 o'clock tomorrow. I know not everybody's in work. I know not everyone's in school. Maybe you can have your lunch at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock tomorrow, we are going to be live on the United Stand. It's going to be me and DT, which is going to be interesting. We're going to talk a bit about United, a bit about Arsenal, a bit about the football situation at the moment, a bit about our past and the true story about that, but also a lot about the comments you want answering as well. So, look, we might not have any football, and it might be a very weird, very weird time, but it does give us an opportunity to do something like that, which you wouldn't ever really expect to see on the United Stand. So me and DT live on the United Stand, 1 o'clock UK time tomorrow. Join us for that. It's going to be very good. But in the meantime, let's have a look at who's in the calling queues and let's get somebody on. And let me just make sure that I put myself in, which I have. And I have got myself in there, and we've got a caller as well. Hello, can you hear me? You're live on the United Stand.
Hello, how are you? Again?
I'm good. I recognise that voice. How you doing, pal?
I'm grand. Anyways, with the virus and all that, I hope you're doing okay.
I'm good. How are you finding it yourself?
Yeah, in Ireland we just had the same things England announced today, so at least I get to play football in the garden, but missing the football, you know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah. What do you want to talk about then, mate?
Just maybe the slight implications of signing Grealish and how pivotal Bruno has been.
Yeah, go on then. So, Grealish, would he be a player that you're looking at, or is it based on certain parameters, like you say?
Grealish is a good player. We've seen his what he's done for Aston Villa side, which is like depleted, which is not the greatest. He's had some injuries this season. He's in a relegation battle. My problem with this is I don't see us switching from with 2 CDMs because we've played that all season. Why would we just switch it? In my opinion, even if we hadn't had Pogba in midfield, I think he would have played it anyways because he did that when we only had Herrera and all that. And Matic, I think personally, I think we're going to stick with 2 CDMs sadly. And I think, would you want to drop Bruno into that CDM role? Not in my opinion. Would you want to drop Grealish into that CDM role? Not in my opinion. And would you want to play Grealish on the left? Not really. Or would Grealish want to play second fiddle to Bruno? Not really. Like, I'd take him if we moved to 2 centre mids, but I don't see it happening because we're very defensive side. Like, Grealish has the tenacity, has the aggression, can get back and tackle the ball, but I just don't see it working if we're playing 2 CDMs.
Well, I mean, the Flex and Rant show went out at lunchtime today, and they were talking about Pogba as well. And obviously, Rant is a big fan of Pogba, and believes that if Pogba's gets back and is committed, that we really could challenge for a title next year. Of course, if Pogba does stay, would you still sign? Should we be looking for an attacking midfielder, whether it's Grealish, Maddison, or anybody else anyway?
No, I don't think we should. I think we should be looking at a party and Ndidi. I think personally, people might say, "Oh, you're only saying them because they're very mobile options." Everyone would say those options, but my opinion is I prefer Partey anyways because I think personally, if we needed to attack and move to 2 centre mids, Partey could play that centre mid. I think Ndidi's more of a defensive CDM. Has to be CDM, kind of like Harry Kane has to be striker. And like if you're with Partey, I think he could score a goal when you need him. I'm not sure about Ndidi. He can pass the ball very well as well, has like bit of vision on him, creativity, very good at defending as well, good physicality.
You see, I think that I do agree with you on that, and it's all about opinion. Partey can play a couple of positions, but I think Fred can do CDM and box to box. I think McTominay can do CDM and box to box, and I think Matic is a CDM who's just getting old. I would love to see an Ndidi because he just is a CDM, and it's a bit like he can just do that job. And I think United need a specialist CDM. I don't think we'll get one though.
Yeah, the thing is, like, speaking of that quickly, I for some reason I don't know about Ndidi. In my opinion, I think personally he would be a good signing, without doubt. I'll take him, like both of them. But my problem is I want to see a player that could probably take us to another level. I'm not sure Ndidi can do that because he's already playing in the Premier League and all that. And I think personally we could have seen what his high level already is. I'm not sure about Partey when he moves to the Premier League. Could he be better than he is in La Liga? I'm not sure.
It's an interesting debate, Partey and Ndidi, because I've been on about Partey for probably 2 or 3 years, and as recently people have seen against Liverpool what he can do. I think it's a good debate who's the better player. I mean, look, what I would say about Ndidi in his defence is that when Leicester started going on a bad run about a month ago, Ndidi was injured. So he is a massive part of that team in a position that obviously doesn't always get the appreciation. But I don't think, and to be absolutely honest, Ndidi and Partey are fan service signings. They're what me and you want.
Yeah.
They're not. We're
like
not
Bruno.
linked to them by the club.
Yeah.
But the same with Bruno. He was a fan service thing. We went on about him long enough, and we did buy him. So maybe we can.
Yeah. On Bruno quickly. Thing is, that is a good debate. Probably, maybe another caller could maybe reach onto that. That would be a good debate, maybe.
Yeah.
But the thing about Bruno, it's if you don't have an engine in your car, you could push it. You could put all the effort in it if you want. You could push it as far as you want. But if you don't have that engine, it's not going to make it very far. It can go as far as it can go. If you add that engine, which is Bruno, in my opinion, you can take it further. You can go at max speed, and you can put minimum effort and win games. And I think that's what Bruno's done. And we should have signed him in summer. I said it to you before the summer window ended a week before that I think we should have signed him, and I don't think we would get him, and we didn't get him. But they signed him now because of the midfield crisis.
You're right as well, and if Bruno's, I think without Bruno we were probably a Ford Escort, and now we've got Bruno.
Exactly.
We're probably a Ferrari, and suddenly that red Escort, the paintwork, Luke Shaw didn't look that good, but now it's on a red Ferrari. It looks really good. He's not only the engine; he's made every bit of that car look better.
Exactly. He's added the finishing, not the finishing touch because we're not finished here. I think we still need Sancho because I think personally 2 positions we kind of needed was an out-and-out number 10, and people could say Mata, but Mata didn't play as a number 10 when he signed it. He's kind of wasted on the right, and we need an out-and-out winger. And that's the 2 positions we've been missing since Alex Ferguson left, in my opinion. It could be up for debate, but I think personally we've been missing that number 10 that could drop into centre mid. You could debate Pogba, but I just don't think he's an out-and-out number 10, if you get me. I think he does score goals and all that, but I'd kind of prefer to see him as a centre mid. And with Sancho, I think he's a pacey winger. But I think personally, look, the thing about Sancho is as much as we want him, he did try it in the Premier League. He didn't get played much. Maybe there was something there that City didn't see. But what if City saw something and he wasn't?
Oh. No, what's going on there?
What if they saw something and thought he wouldn't fit in? Oh yeah, sorry. I probably cut out for you, did I?
Yeah. It's all right though.
Yeah.
Go on, carry on.
Sorry about that. I was just saying, Sancho. Problem is that he could, everyone has the risk of flopping. We get that, but if you're paying 100 million, probably 50 in the summer because the market could deplete. I think personally, he will turn out good, but there is always an element of risk in every signing, as there is in Partey. Even indeed, he could well for United. He might not settle in well or something like that. But Sancho, I would sign Sancho as my priority right winger. I don't see anyone else that kind of fit in our team at the moment, even though it does fuel the fire to Brexit FC, England FC. I think personally he is the type of sign that we would need.
Maybe if we just keep buying British, it won't be Brexit FC.
Yeah,
it'll
exactly.
be Brexit FC because we've got Bruno.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. Yeah.
Look, it's Noah, isn't it? Is that the name?
Yeah.
Fantastic call, mate. There's loads of people in the live comments really giving you a lot of praise, which is fantastic. And I know you do these regularly, and this is why you do it. So thanks for calling in, pal, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you for having me again. Stay safe and wash your hands.
Cheers, mate. Speak to you soon.
All right. See you.
Really cracking call. Really like having Noah on. That kid has some serious football brains. Sorry for referring to him as that kid. Missed his name. Brilliant guy, says Mojo. It's Noah. So there you go. Fantastic. And nice to get... Look, it doesn't matter. Young or old, female, male, whatever the different things are. We're not different as a Manchester United fan base. We're all the same. And we've all got opinions. And that's the brilliance of the United stand, is that we've always done this and we always will do this. So cracking caller to open it up, and let's take another one. Who's going to follow in his shoes? I feel like pressure. I think there's only one person to bring on who can follow that up. I don't want to put anybody else other than Paul on at the moment. Paul, how you doing?
It's good, mate. How you doing?
I'm very good. We haven't spoken in a while. How are you doing in this? I'm going to ask everyone tonight how you doing with this crisis. I think everybody's got different ways of dealing with it, but I hope you're doing well.
I'm okay. It's very different. This is a very strange time. It's very difficult to cope with. There's going to be a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a little bit of panic, and that's completely understandable. Everyone's going to deal with it in their own different ways. I've got a bit of anxiety about it, and I'm coping at the moment. It's a long road ahead, and everybody stay strong, talk to each other, communicate, and exercise. That's all I'm going to try and do myself.
And that's it. The thing is, the exercise thing is really difficult. I found myself like just making myself, and it doesn't sound much, but actually it is 100 press-ups a day, and I don't do them in one. I just do like 20, and actually you could easily do 1,000 in a day, but to do it every day for the last week is like
challenge Goldbridge. Goldbridge, right there. 1,000 press-ups in a day, Mark. I want to see it.
No way. But if you got up at 9 o'clock and you just focused on that, but when you're busy with everything else, just set yourself a target of doing, even going up and down your stairs 10 times, which you're probably doing a day anyway. But you're right. The exercise is very important for the mental health as well as the body. But anyway,
very,
Paul,
very.
What do you want to talk about?
I was just I was in the queue chatting to everybody else that you were going to pull in, so I wasn't really prepared. But I was just chatting to United FC, who was in the waiting room, in regards to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, funnily enough, and everything good that he's doing at the moment. We haven't quite. We just got to the stage we might have seen something kicking on with Ole, and this coronavirus has come in and pulled the rug from under him a little bit. I've been Ole out for a long time. I'm not flip-flopping. Tactically is where my issues lie with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I don't know whether he's going to take us to the level we want to be at in terms of producing the best football out of the players that we have. I don't know if he's got it in his locker. I hope he has. I really do. But he's building a camaraderie and a foundation for anybody else who happens to come in as manager, which will benefit them so much. So he's doing good things at the moment. But I'm still not really Ollie in.
I'll tell you what, it's fair play, and I think a lot of people would agree with you. I just think, as I said at the start, we are in such a weird time at the moment, and I was talking to somebody today about, I'll tell people what it was. It was, I recorded something with Robbie from AFTV. It's in the can. It's going to go up at some point. I'm doing DT live tomorrow at 1, so it's just about when we can put the Robbie video up. And we were talking about football, and he basically said, spoiler alert, we talk about a lot more than this, but he said, at the moment, it's not about rivalry, it's just about, everybody being in things together. And it's interesting about the Solskjaer thing, because there will be people who like yourself who are only out, but it's not really, it just feels like it's on pause, doesn't it? Because I do agree with you that the momentum that we had, I was convinced, and I want to ask you this, if this hadn't happened, and we wish it hadn't happened, I've never been so confident that we were going to beat Spurs. And you look at the run-in then, and Pogba back as well, I think 4th spot was going to be ours. My interesting thing is, if we do get football back, so I'll ask you 2 questions. Do you think we should have football back? And also, are you concerned that this momentum, although we'll have Rashford and Pogba back, it's like a mini season. Even Norwich could go on an 8-winning game running streak because they might be mentally rejuvenated. Obviously, Spurs will have people like Son and Kane back. Everybody's going to be... It's like going to be the start of the season. I don't think there's going to be any injury for any club. I was looking at the other day, any of the major clubs. I think even Sane will be back for Man City, and Laporte will be back as well. So all the top 7-8 clubs will have a totally fresh squad to go at them last 9 games.
Yeah, will football come back? Of course it will, and it's going to come back stronger than it has ever. Are there going to be any differences, changes? Maybe, just that everyone's got a little bit of a different perspective on football at the moment. But will it be back soon? I really don't think so. What you got to think about logistically is not only how long do the players need to get back into match fitness? Otherwise, all the hamstrings and muscles are going to snap and ping. What medical stuff is going to be needed for even behind closed doors matches? Medical staff that's going to be needed in hospitals because of the coronavirus and people, who are very sick. There's so much to go into it. I can't see it starting very soon at all. I mean, I'd say pushing probably September, in my opinion, to get everything back in.
That's even further than Robbie. I'm not going to say what Robbie said today because me and him had a little bit of a falling out, and I actually said to him, "Look, you know me, Robbie. I'm a glass half full person. I never rant. I'm always positive, and I've always joking about that, but I said May, June." He went later than that. And you're the latest I've heard yet with September, so that's interesting.
Yeah, but I'm just being real. I'm not being pessimistic. I'm being real. This is a global problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
The science backs you up. It could back me up, but it doesn't not back you up either. You could be right.
It's just opinion, just my opinion in terms of the logistical requirements for games, even behind closed doors. Is such a big deal at the moment. I mean, my opinion doesn't count for much. I say September, but I've got no science behind it. But I'm hoping it's going to come back stronger, Mark. And I really hope it comes back sooner because I think we all start to appreciate it a little bit more now it's gone.
Exactly. And I think as well, every country's going to be the same. People, we've heard it on the news here. There's loads of people coming out of retirement. There's a new hospital in London, and this will be replicated everywhere. But I think the main thing is not about. We know a lot of people are going to get sick, and unfortunately, a lot of people are going to get worse than sick, and it's going to be very sad, and it's a major crisis. But when the curve starts coming down, that's when you can start talking about maybe getting football back. And at the moment, we all know we're on the way up. But hopefully, fingers crossed,
do you know what?
Can change.
Yeah, but this is it, Mark. It's coronavirus is going on around everybody. You cannot avoid it. Now, if I'm talking about football at the moment, and somebody could say, well, what does it matter with all this going on? It matters for your mental health. We've still got to keep involved in certain things that make us feel stable, make us feel normal, and we enjoy. We're stuck in a bubble at the moment. Make the best of what we have, and that's where the United stand comes in. It's a good community. Everyone sticks together, and we all talk about what we enjoy. So this is what I'm here to do.
Thanks for coming on, Paul. I'm sure we'll get you on again. We're going to do a lot more of these. I think I put my hands up. I got in trouble with the mods last week. I sort of talk about doing it, and then we don't do it, and then there's no reason not to be doing it. So it does need to happen more, and they are good. So and Paul does a lot of work around it. So I appreciate that, Paul, and thanks for popping on.
Love the shows, Mark. It's all good. Good to speak to you again. Take care, everybody, and I'll catch you in a bit.
Yeah, you take care as well, mate. I'll speak to you in a bit.
Cheers, mate.
It's funny as well because as you know, when the United stand runs normally, we've got a fantastic community. Of course, there's still loads of people watching the show. We've got over 5,000 people watching, which is amazing for a Tuesday night in the middle of a lockdown. But I think people enjoy the community, enjoy the interaction, and it's something normal in a time of abnormal. But it's funny because obviously when we're back to normal with the football, you'll get an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference on a Friday morning at 10 o'clock. And at 10:30, I'll go live with an Ollie press conference reaction for half an hour where we're talking about the intricacies of what he's spoken about. I don't know about you, but in the UK, we get a press conference from our Prime Minister or his staff at 5 o'clock. And I'm there like an Ollie presser. I'm like, 5 o'clock, get the telly on. And I'm like watching it like that. And 10:30 news night on BBC Two. It's just, I think, I know what it is. It's that craving for sort of reality, isn't it? Everything we watch at the moment, whether it's your soaps or your football reruns or your Netflix series or anything like that, they are great because they are there and that they are series that you can sit and watch. But it's not live content, is it? It's not live. You don't know. It's an interaction thing, isn't it? And I think that's what we have. It's like, yeah, you can watch it tonight, later if you're out, or you're watching something else. But ultimately, it's a live thing, and that live thing, like I said this to Robbie today, if they put live throwing a tennis ball into a washing basket championships in people's back gardens, I'd watch it. People are watching marbles go down things. Like we miss that live competitive element, which is why a lot of people are watching my FIFA career mode as well. Pepe 72 million says transmission 2020. Let's get another caller on. Bit of banter there, of course. Hello, and welcome to the United Stand. How are you doing?
Hello, how are we doing? Not bad,
good.
Thank you for having me on.
No worries at all. How are you doing, pal, in these difficult times? How are you coping?
Yeah, it's challenging, but I'm one of these where I'm thinking, you know what, it's not really that bad. We're being asked to stay indoors. There could be worse things. We are obviously facing a global, issue, and there's some people who are getting really irate. This is, pressing on our freedoms and everything. We're being asked to stay indoors to help, the country and the national health. So I'm totally compliant with that, and it's not an issue for me.
Very mature and absolutely spot on opinion to have. But obviously, it is out of the norm for people. But you're right, that's why we're doing it. Anyway, in relation to Manchester United, what do you want to talk about?
Upturning form. I'm actually Ollie in.
Good.
Where I differ, I mean, I'm not going to be, here and sort of gloating or reveling in the fact and beating every Ollie out down. I can totally understand why people were Ollie out, but for me, I've been sort of looking forward to this moment or hoping for where we are now. I wanted to see the personnel come in, and then we start measuring this team more realistically.
What do you
think? Certain questions obviously still need to be answered by Ollie. I totally get that. Tactics, patterns of play, performance levels need to go better. But ultimately, I think the vast majority of us have been looking for all these things with Lingard in advanced midfield, Pereira playing as Cam. I think some of that has been a little bit unfair.
I think Bruno Fernandes has made a huge amount of difference. I think, as I said, I think now is a time to be positive about many things in my mindset. And I certainly would not be talking negative about United or Ollie at the moment, because I think that's for the future, and let's see what's going to happen. But I also
exactly. Let's just go with it, and let's park that, and we'll see if things come to a bottleneck later on. I get what he's done so far, the whole character building, setting the team, in the right mindset, getting everyone sort of singing in the same direction. I totally get that. There might be a point where, he has to kick more. He has to kick on from this, but we're not at that stage now. That's something far later.
I think the way the season was going, we were going to get top four, and I think top four is enough to keep him next season. And then, like you say, you see what he does next season. I think for me, if he got Champions League football, he was always going to be a manager that needed to stay anyway. Just talking about people staying, what's your opinion? And we've not even spoken about him tonight, really. What's your opinion about Paul Pogba? Do you think he's going to stay now? Does that make you feel comfortable that a player that ultimately wanted to go and maybe staying because he can't get his move, is that a healthy thing? Or do you think he can commit to the cause and be a player for the future of Manchester United?
I would absolutely love it if he stayed, but do I believe he's staying? No, I can't. I want to say that, everything will be great. We're going to have all these footballers. It's going to be all about the talent, getting them in the team. To me, it looks more like, from what I think Ollie's doing, I don't think he can stay. I'm not a hater or anything. I just feel like the way this team's going, it just feels like the team is on one trajectory, and Pogba himself is on a different level, and maybe it's just best that, it's kind of, we're just not on the same wavelength as where he's at as an individual and where this team is at with the current manager. I just don't feel like there's a symmetry there.
I personally think he will stay because he can't get the move he wants, but I do think it's going to be very interesting with a very negative, mouthy presence in his ear, which is Mino Raiola. How can you ever get a settled Paul Pogba? And I think if you haven't got a settled Paul Pogba, he can cause an issue to a settled dressing room, which is what we've got at the moment.
Yeah. Ultimately, that's just an assertion on my part, and it's just an interpretation of what I'm seeing. And most of us as fans are just making interpretations based on what we see, what we hear, what newspapers are putting out there, what his brother's saying, what Mino Raiola's saying. Ultimately, I think if he's fit and the manager, Ollie, is playing him, I think things aren't as bad as they seem on the outside. If the manager feels he can play him, especially in this team, which I think is now more geared to get results, I think that's pretty much, that's Ollie saying that, things aren't so bad. And, players do come back from far worse situations. I'm not one of these where I think Pogba's said completely things untowards the club. At the end of the day, he said that maybe there's a time or a new challenge. He's not actually said much himself. We know we had Wayne Rooney that said probably far more, and there was talk of him probably going across the city to Man City. Things kind of come down and then you move on. So
Exactly.
I wouldn't be against it, but to me, the way I'm interpreting it, I feel like Bruno is kind of like the replacement, but we've been proactive.
Which would be like
From
this.
what there was a thing that Raiola said, one that really stuck out. He was asked, do you think Pogba can or will he move somewhere, or could he move to Italy, or could he move? And I think Raiola said something like, well, no one can afford him. So to me, that sounded like we've put a price on his head. And the whole Raiola angle is that, no one's coming, or no one's going to be forthcoming at such a price.
Thanks for calling in, pal. Really appreciate it.
No
and you
worries.
take care.
Cheers, take care. Thanks.
Thanks for calling in there. Let's see if we can grab somebody else. Hello, can you hear me? You're live on the United Stand.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. You?
I'm good, thanks.
South
what do you want to
African.
talk about? I wanted to talk about the transfer window.
Yeah, go ahead, go on.
So if you could have 3 signings on this transfer window.
If I could have 3 signings, who would I sign?
Yeah.
Ndidi or
Yeah.
Partey, I'm not bothered, either of the two. Don't want to go down that argument of whichever, because they'd both do the role I want, which is a CDM. It's always going to be a CDM for me first. So Ndidi, Sancho, Werner, because I think Pogba's going to stay anyway. So the CAM, the centre attacking midfielder, is irrelevant. You play a holding midfielder, which would be Partey or Ndidi. You play Pogba and Bruno, more advanced. You put Sancho on the right, and then you've got Werner, who is a top class backup with Greenwood for Martial and Rashford.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. Yeah.
But do you not think that Werner would have a problem with sitting on the bench?
I'm not saying he would. I mean, look, I think that I saw a very interesting thing today that, and it was a really good article on the BBC, and it really surprised me. And it basically, what it said is, all these great teams of the past, how many times did they actually play together in that season? The Manchester United 1999 team of Schmeichel, Neville, Stam, Johnson, Irwin, Keane, Giggs, Scholes, Beckham, York, and Cole. They only played together in a 60-game season, around that. They only played together about a handful of times, maybe 10 times max. And that was because Giggs got injured, there was rotation. So, I think fans, and it was the same with the Invincibles team, and it was the same with the 66 World Cup team, it was the same with the 94 United team. All these great teams actually don't play together 40 games a season.
Yeah.
There's loads of rotation. And I think some people are like, oh, what about Greenwood? And I'm like, if you buy Werner, some games he does start and Martial's on the bench. Some games Martial's injured. Some games Rashford's injured. So, yeah, you could probably start Werner. But I just think it's about, we've got it in the midfield now. Let's get it in the attack. Let's get some real depth. Let's worry about who's going to play, because we've got too many, not too few.
But do you think Werner would come to us, considering his links to Liverpool and that?
I think he will end up at Liverpool, but what he said in the press on the last Champions League day, that I'm thinking, do I go to a club that's already achieving things, or do I go to a big club that's trying to achieve things? Maybe that's more exciting. And to me, that means United's a more exciting prospect than Liverpool, who are already winning things. But, maybe he's just doing that to generate interest. I don't think we will get Werner, by the way, but if you're asking me, I would go for the CDM, the right winger, and a striker.
Yeah. I think I would choose the same positions. With the striker, I've always wanted Bruno, but I'd be a bit more concerned with Martial, considering he's put in so much work this season to become a striker, and then to almost throw that away by signing a striker that's arguably better than Martial. Martial's potential could be, I don't know, they're very good players, both of them, but it would be very close between them.
Who would you go for then? What 3 would you go for? Because it's your call.
I would definitely get Sancho in the top priority, and then I'd assume Pogba's staying. I don't think he'll leave. So I would sign Thomas Partey from Atletico. I think he's the cheaper option than Ndidi.
Yeah, it would be.
And then I think if Igalo carries on, because I assume this season's going to end, and he continues in the form that he has been in, I think Igalo will be a top signing. for the next 3-4 years while Greenwood develops.
So who would your third one be then? If you've got Sancho and a Partey, you've got one more, and you're going to keep Igalo. So would you go for a midfielder as well, or a centre back? Some people are saying centre backs.
Well, I don't know. I think it would. If it was a centre back, I saw Koulibaly said that he wants to leave, so I would get him if he's available, because I think our centre back partnership with Lindelof and Maguire. Maguire's been like grown into the role, but I think Lindelof's been a bit shaky through this season, and he has grown. He was very good at a stage, but at another stage he was like, I don't know, he kind of gives me the flutters when he plays.
Yeah, and well, look, I can't talk on my FIFA career. I've kicked Bay and Maguire out, and Lindelof and Swansea are my centre backs, but that's a computer game. So, I don't think we need a centre back. I think it's midfield and right winger and attacker for me. But it's interesting, and I think you hit on a good point, because if we are keeping Igalo, then I don't think we will get a striker. So, yes, we'll get a midfielder. Yes, we'll get a right winger. But who else will we get? What position would we go for?
I wouldn't mind another attacker apart from Igalo, like one that could play in all the roles, which is a Werner, because I'm pretty sure you could play in all the roles, which is ideally what we need, interchangeability between the three players. But I guess Werner would actually be a good signing in terms of if we had Sancho, Werner, Martial, and Rashford. That's 4 players into 3 positions, and they can pretty much play every position in that front 3. So I think that would work well.
I must just ask you, mate, before you go, South African accent, are you actually living in South Africa?
I am indeed living in South Africa.
So, we can't avoid the fact that there's a global crisis. What's the picture out there at the moment? How are you feeling over there as a representative, as a South African? Are you on lockdown there? Are things normal or not?
We got announced lockdown last night. Cyril Ramaphosa announced the lockdown, which will start on Friday morning. And it entails for 21 days. But it's been a very proactive country, I think, South Africa, because we've only had 500 cases and no deaths, which is quite a bit less than the UK has had. And we've already run straight into lockdown. So I don't know. I've been quite impressed with what South Africa's done to control and manage the situation.
What's your weather like over there, like temperature-wise? What sort of season is it? Is it hot or is it?
It's about it's going from summer into winter, but it's kind of in a rainy patch at the moment. It's about about 25, 24 every day, and then there's normally a rain shower in the afternoon.
I just wondered if temperature has a bearing on it at all, in relation to...
Oh no, I saw that. I don't know if how much the temperature affects the virus, because we've had quite a few cases that have sprung up, but we haven't had any deaths. So it seems that the deadliness is not as severe here. I'm not too sure, but we haven't had too hot weather.
Fingers crossed it stays that way.
I hope it just kind of blows over as soon as it can.
Thanks for calling, mate. Really good question. I really appreciate the transfer thing. Was an interesting angle to go down, and please do call in again.
I will do. Thanks, Mark.
Cheers, pal. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
And hello, can you hear me? You're live on the United Stand.
Hello,
you're live on the United Stand. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Okay. What do you want to talk about then?
I want to talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I want to start off by giving him praise for what he has done first before I go on to the negatives and the questions I have about him. Because obviously, a lot of people are very sensitive, so I have to start with the positives. And for me, I think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in the time that he's been at United, you have to admit he's been a good manager. He's built a squad. He's managed to get the United way back to the club. He's brought in the youth through, and he's built a good squad. But my problem with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is that he's not a great coach. That's my problem. A lot of the times, some of the decision making he had, some of his decision making in the games were poor for me. Like with all the games we've lost, I think tactically he's not up to standard. That's why I also have a problem with bringing in someone like a Pochettino, because he's also a great manager. But in terms of coaching, he ain't that great. Ferguson was also like that, but the difference is that Ferguson brought in great coaches to work alongside him, like Carlos Queiroz in 2008. Without him, there would be no Champions League. But the difference is, Oli, he brought along Michael Carrick and McKenna along with him. And also, I forgot his name. The other guy that worked with Ferguson.
Mike Phelan.
Yeah. That's down to him. That's down to him. He can hire a coach to work with him, because obviously he ain't. You have to admit he's not great at coaching. Tactically, he's not great. So I blame him for that.
I agree with you. I mean, look, I agree with you because I do agree, and I think a lot of people would agree. We know Ollie has his strong points, and I think if he surrounded himself with coaches who were experienced, we'd be in a better situation. There is nothing wrong with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being a naive, inexperienced coach. We knew that when we got him. But he should have been surrounded with experienced coaches, and he's not. He's a naive, inexperienced coach surrounded by naive, inexperienced coaches, apart from Phelan, who's been out of the game really for a long time. And maybe, I don't know. I mean, but I think Carrick and McKenna, they are learning on the job as well with Ollie. So they could all be brilliant in a year or two because they could learn together. But you're always going to have that question mark that you've raised there about their coaching ability, because it's not a criticism. Well, it is a criticism, but it's not, because they are going to be inexperienced because they are inexperienced.
Yeah, definitely. I think he should hire a coach, a more.
What would you do if we got rid of Solskjaer, or who would you, if it wasn't Pochettino, who would you want to come in? Have you got anybody in mind?
Probably Nagelsmann is my first option from
Leipzig.
The way he's transformed the team, he's definitely my first choice. He's a great coach and he's a great manager. He's the full package. The only problem is his age. I don't know if he would get the respect, because a lot of people say that's not anything big, but I think it's a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, look, you talk about Nagelsmann, very experienced, very good coach, very good tactician, but ridiculously young. I think he's under 35, isn't he? So, but if he was 45, we'd probably say go get him. So maybe we're being a bit unfair because we're being a little bit, he's too young, when actually he might be quite good. I don't know what's wrong with it now. It's hello. I definitely heard something go there. Are we still live? We are still live, yes. Okay. I think Discord might have gone there, which is a shame. Right. Let me just do that. Right, okay, that's great. Well, fantastic call. Fantastic show tonight. A bit of an abrupt end on that one. Make sure you smash a like on the video for all our callers tonight. The hour's gone by very, very fast, and I really enjoy this, so we're going to do more of these. We've got some very interesting shows coming up for you over the next few days and weeks as well. As I said, I've got a video in the bag with Robbie off AFTV, and also me and DT, Goldbridge DT, tomorrow live 1 o'clock on this channel. Make sure you watch it. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. And we will be talking. We'll be taking your questions because it's going to be live 1 o'clock tomorrow. Goldbridge and DT on the United stand. I bet you never thought you were going to see that. You'll see that tomorrow. We'll be taking your questions in the live comments as well. Looking forward to that. And look, have a good evening, everybody. Different times, but in different times we can have normality. And on the United Stand, we have got different ideas of content that we can do, but we want to keep the normality going because it's important for us. It's definitely important for me, and I think it's important for some of you to have something that you know is going to be there, like it's always been there. Look, fingers crossed. I mean, look, if I get ill or something like that, then I'm not going to be doing shows, am I? But whilst we can, we will do the shows. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video, and I must just say as well, my video on the Mark Goldbridge channel has just gone up. If you don't know what this is, just type in Mark Goldbridge. You'll see my own channel. It's not about football. It's my daily vlog on this situation, talking about how I feel, what I think about the political situation, what I think about it all in relation to actual life. And there is yesterday I had a big moan about the lockdown and I didn't put a funny story in, and people always want me to put a funny story in, so I put a funny story in about barriers, and you'll like it. So Mark Goldbridge it's just gone up. It's just gone up at 9 o'clock on my channel, Mark Goldbridge. Make sure you check it out. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you tomorrow live at 1 o'clock with DT. It's going to be fun.